Hi, this is James O'Keefe. I'm captain of the Massachusetts Pirate Party. We're starting on a sad note. Recently, we found out that former Massachusetts, one of the persons, Kevin Gallagher, who had helped the Massachusetts Pirate Party years ago and had participated in a number of our crypto parties and things like that, died recently. Kevin was a fantastic person. I don't know that I can cover everything, but that he accomplished. But when Barrett Brown was arrested, he organized, he led the effort to get him out of prison. He has led numerous privacy and security efforts. He's certainly helped with Project PM and other things. He was just an all-around fantastic person. Very, in a world filled with lots of people who have ego, he didn't, and it's a sad loss for all of us that he's no longer with us. We'll put a link in the description from a piece that Asher Wolf in Australia wrote about him that kind of gets you up to speed. So, take a moment and, we remember him fondly and hope that we can carry on in the footsteps that he's put before us. So, but on to today's pirate news. How's everyone?
I am fantastic.
Doing all right.
In the name of the moon, I am here to entertain you.
And so, with that being said, let's jump right into it, Moon Man, with the what's going on with the House Antitrust Bill.
So, there was a bipartisan committee that has met for some time and basically came to announce a set of policies which would encourage tech companies that own mediums to no longer be able to participate in those mediums. So some of the specific suggestions they're making are a search engine could not own a video service that has incentives to favor it in search results. So like Google owns YouTube. They put YouTube results at the top of Google results. That would be discouraged under these new guidelines. Basically, the bill requires dominant platforms to divest lines of businesses where the platform's gatekeeper power allows it to favor its own services or disadvantage rivals. The gatekeeper power bit is the really important thing, because right now what we're seeing on platforms, specifically on Amazon, is that once a product becomes successful, Amazon will introduce a competitor product and favor this competitive product in its own proprietary search engine. So this bill would discourage that. One important thing, it does not include anything about Republican fake content censorship. Specifically, the policy acknowledged that it did not have the overreach required for it didn't have the power to talk about content censorship. So I was initially concerned that was what this policy was going to be, that the Republicans were going to use this to rat fuck something, but so far it seems pretty solid. It gets my vote of approval.
I mean, speaking of things that are really messed up, I mean, isn't that whole thing with the ProPublica and avoiding income taxes kind of a thing? So...
Yeah, so ProPublica had a report. Someone leaked a whole bunch of IRS records for various billionaires, such as Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Warren Buffett. folks like that, that show how little taxes they actually pay, because a lot of them are paid in the form of capital gains. So because the values of their shares go up. So if they never sell those shares, then they never realize those capital gains. And because they don't realize those capital gains, they don't pay taxes on them. Yet they can go and borrow millions of dollars if they so choose against those assets, and be able to live off the proceeds of, basically live off of their debt, while still keeping these huge billions of dollars worth of stock.
Okay, so I was a bit confused on that. Those are two different topics completely.
To get specific about that, capital gains are taxed at only 20%, whereas your salary is probably getting taxed at around 37%. So they are paying half the taxes you are for doing no work whatsoever.
Well, the thing that I was surprised to read in ProPublica's article was the amount of the idea of using debt, just borrowing against your assets, as a way to, cover expenses. That was astonishing to me, but it makes sense.
Hmm.
And I also say, wow, there's, shout out to whoever leaked these things. I know the IRS is generally rather protective about tax return data.
Yeah, Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, has vowed that this is an extremely high priority investigation. So, I really hope whoever did this covered their tracks, because, the dogs are after them. Solidarity to whoever did that.
But, it just proves how much these companies and these people are ripping us all off. They say trickle-down economics, but it's not the case.
Well, not only that, but when you think about what's happened over the last 40 or more years, where we've decreased the capital gains tax, we've decreased the corporate income tax. So many corporations pay no taxes or even get money back, right? And then to top it off, they also want to reduce, the Republicans especially want to reduce the estate tax. So if you've got these folks who are billionaires, who are basically, they don't sell all of their asset. They don't sell a sizable enough part of their assets. They pass them on to their children. They pay no estate taxes or little estate taxes on them, so they have to sell those. You're creating an aristocracy. And last I knew, that was one of the reasons why we had a freaking revolution here to begin with, right? We could have created an aristocracy, back in the beginning of the Republic. We chose not to.
I would say not as aristocracy. I would call it an oligarchy. It's ruled by rich people.
We still have
that.
Sorry, what were you saying, Steve?
Well, I was going to say there's, the main difference between an aristocracy is, someone in the familial chain gets the job title, and they've never had to put in never necessarily had to work for it. When you're talking about
Bezos is, I don't know if Bezos has any kids, but if it's Buffett's kids or Musk's kids, or they get to pass it down with minimal taxes.
There's this company, BlackRock Financials, is basically buying up every single house that comes on the market at 50% above asking rate. They're buying up entire subdivisions of 65,000 houses and turning them into what they're called single family rentals, which home ownership is the number one way that poor and working class families achieve financial stability. And by basically eating up all of the starter homes, you keep people in financial bondage forever, because they're never able to acquire that equity. So, like, the move, like you say, oligarchy, aristocracy, like, it's literally here. The rentier class is a parasite.
Nah, I'm going to push back a little bit on BlackRock. BlackRock is investing in them just because that's where the real single family homes in some parts of the country are, where the money is. There's, what you would call a starter home in Palo Alto, which, smaller than 1,000 square feet, basically a 1-bedroom house will sell for $2 or $3 million. That's not because of BlackRock. That's because Palo Alto doesn't build homes. They don't allow people to build housing. And, they have, Facebook is they're home to some well-paid, tech engineers who apparently, two of them have that put together, have that kind of money.
I mean, like, California is a special case. Like California real estate is its own kind of like morass of nightmare.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's not that different. All right. Well, there are similar things happening in, in the Metro Boston area. We are several 100,000 housing units short, and what used to be starter homes that would sell for $200,000 or $300,000 are selling for 8 and 9. It's over the last couple of years the way things have swung. It's it is a not enough commodity to go around, and the people with the deepest pockets are going to bid it up, and the one with the deepest pockets will win. That's basically it.
The thing it just irks me that they're using like federal dollars to do this. Like, isn't a lot of their money from the housing and urban development?
That I do not know.
I mean, certainly there's a lot of money that came in because of the COVID pandemic and the 2008 financial crisis that came in from the Fed. And certainly the thing that we forget is that, if these billionaires have to sell their stock, right, then that will mean potentially that there's more stock there, but also that so many corporations are screwing over their workers, screwing over their customers, maximizing their profits at the expense of everyone else. That money, those profits go somewhere, and we know where those profits go. They go into buying back their own stock. That money then goes into the financial market and gets recycled and given to Blackwater, who can then go and buy up tons of houses. So if we actually went and had decent taxes on these folks, then we pull some of that money back in, and we could actually pay for building out houses, but we'd also we'd pull money out of the financial system where it's just going to be bet. It's not the stock market doesn't go and create, it doesn't help businesses invest. They either borrow from a bank or they save money internally. But they haven't for 20 or 30 years, they've just bought back their stock. And so we're just seeing money that gets recycled and put into the financial system. It's not going to building more plants and machinery, not paying workers better. So somewhere we have to step in and change that.
It's a problem. All right. So
quick question.
What's up?
Before we jump into the next one. So that we don't know who leaked the data at all?
Thankfully not.
Yeah, ProPublica they're no slouches when it comes to security. Like, I definitely believe they would have done their utmost to obscure and protect the identity of this confidential and protected whistleblower.
Okay, and that being said, there was some follow-up story you had on the FBI MMO.
Yeah, so mid 2018, this messaging service called Phantom Secure goes down. They were big on like darknet and used mostly in criminal circles. And then shortly afterwards, a new service came about called Anom, AN0M. It only works on like specifically secure phones that have GPS and like the microphone disabled. So every time the program starts up, it checks to make sure it's on one of these like black market phones. And the problem with Anom is that it was developed by an FBI informant who was trying to get a reduced sentence. This informant, again, confidential identity, but definitely had contacts within the underworld because they managed to get it adopted by
Thousands of people.
Yeah, pretty much thousands of people by mid 2019. It was used across like 50 countries. And from day one, it was a Trojan horse. Every message sent had a unique identifier attached to it. They were all sent directly decrypted to FBI servers held in a secret third country. And it had a custom ID for every device that used it. So like these guys, oh man, dead in the water. Like there is no getting out of this. Like those it's all criminal, like criminally, what's the word? Implicating. It's all evidence.
Mm-hmm.
And so the investigation or the sting operation caught over 800 people in 16 countries. It was primarily spearheaded by the FBI and the Australian police, and and it was like the server was based in a third country, and like the Australian police were involved because Australian law on surveillance is much more lax than American law. So this is basically the playbook we're going to see going forward when it comes to police attacking organized crime. They're going to compromise a service from the root. They are going to run it and manage it for a number of years, and then they're going to like arrest hundreds of people at a time. And they're going to do it in a country that does not respect privacy rights.
Yeah, this reminds me of 2015 when the FBI gained control of Playpen, which was a site for people to share child porn. And they kept it up, if I recall correctly, for 2 weeks. So they could then gather whatever information they could on the people who were putting such awfulness up for others to see. So basically, you know, the FBI has no problem enabling child porn as long as they can go after some of the people.
That sounds just terrible in all sorts of ways. I mean, that and the fact that the FBI has had quite a few leaks, if I do recall. Anyone want to get specific on some FBI leaks?
Yeah, I mean, one thing that happened recently we found out was that, you know, as the NSA and as the FBI and all these other government agencies have been increasing surveillance, usually it's directed against people of color, people who are of Arab descent, you know, left-wing organizers, anarchists, Antifa, whatever. The Trump administration decided to go after a bunch of Democrats for who they thought were leaking information. One of them was House member Adam Schiff. And so what's interesting is they actually went and got the information, you know, from Apple and possibly other sources for years before the leak, which is like, I can, you know, if you want to go after leaks, okay, it's one thing to go after, here's the leak, look at the month before or whatever. I could see that, but why do you go years? And is this going to be the standard Republican thing that they just spy on their opposition?
Oh yeah, that was there's no debating it. That was an intelligence gathering operation. Like, Republicans have no qualms about abusing the powers of the state to get dirt on their opponents.
I mean, if I recall, I'm pretty sure both of them do that, and neither one of them is.
Nah, there were allegations that Democrats had been spying on the Trump. The thing about it is that Trump actually did crimes. Like, the Trump organization is a criminal organization. It is it's involved in at the very least money laundering, real estate crimes. He deserves to be under surveillance because of the crimes he's done and did and continue to do. So sure, we can draw an equivalency there, but he's admitting that he's doing these crimes when he draws that comparison. So I don't know. I don't think we need to do the fascists' work for them by drawing that false equivalency.
Yeah, I mean,
was it
he
ever
should
proven?
he should have stayed in a more honest trade, like waste management.
He should have stayed in the sewer.
I mean, waste management is an honest trade. It's terrible, but it's honest. You know,
We certainly need it.
that is
Honey Dipper Dan. Honey Dipper Dan.
definitely thinking dirty jobs with Mike Rowe right now. But that being said,
Mike Rowe went to university for opera.
I don't even know who Mike Rowe is.
Dirty Jobs, the TV show, Discovery Channel.
So
okay,
you know the character that Tim Allen plays? He's that, but unironic.
Yeah.
Also, probably marginally less cocaine. I'm assuming.
It's hard to tell.
Let's not cast aspersions.
But
Hey, speaking of FBI informants, hi, Tim Allen.
so there is one other thing that I wanted to bring up, which was the environmental aspects. I know that's something that we've been working on. However, there is a conference coming up that is definitely going to be. It's in November, which is the Climate Change Conference. It's happening in the UK, so definitely going to be listening in on that, and or sending Jamie if I'm lucky to that, because he needs a trip to England. But that being said,
That's a
yeah, no,
North
just joking.
Ireland, maybe, but
Just joking.
The reason they don't want to send me to England is because they know as soon as I get there, I'm going to fight a beefeater about how how weird their currency used to be. It's base 6. It's all 6s and 12s and 8s. It's ridiculous.
it's positively Sumerian.
I know. I'm going to write a clay tablet and complain.
Yeah, that and you'll probably get arrested, but that's okay.
The police don't have guns. What's the worst they're going to do? Oi, I'll chav you in the knickers.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure they have those club things. Those things hurt.
Honestly, getting beaten with a club sounds fun relative to having a toddler in the house.
But as far as the only thing that I really want to take a stance on for us and what I really want to fight for, I mean, we generally have a good idea of how environmental is going to go. I know that right now, during today's day 3 of the 2021 G7 summit, and they're talking about eliminating coal, which coal is a dirty, dirty thing. Even if they do that purification process, it's still filthy. It's filthy in mining. It's filthy in production. It's filthy in use. And that's at least one thing that our fearless leaders are trying to do. The question is how we're going to get it done. So I know there's some talk about modular nuclear, but you're still dealing with nuclear waste. Of course, there's solar and electrical. So So moving forward, we're definitely going to be talking about that and getting that done. So, and gentlemen,
And if you have any ideas, send them our way.
yeah,
We
we're
set up
definitely
an array of space-based mirrors, like that Tom Cruise movie Legend. You know, where Tom Cruise kills Satan, and it's Tim Curry.
with reflective mirrors.
Yeah, there's a laser. He gets blown into space. It's cool. Tangerine Dream did the soundtrack.
Oh God!
Oh,
Wow,
wow.
that's a name I haven't remembered.
Ridley Scott directed.
Okay.
There's a goblin that speaks only in rhyme. It sounds obnoxious, and it is.
But the fire burns higher. You don't remember that part? Fire. Anywho, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed our silliness as we try and deal with this wonderful heat because of climate change. Yay! So definitely like, thumb up, subscribe, and definitely if you have any questions or concerns, we'd love to hear them.
May you be loved by the sun. That's Tangerine Dream, baby. That's what they sound like. The 80s.